All right, so each tech that starts off as a lube tire tech over Big O Tire gets a 1/2-inch impact gun. You get a drawer with 3/8 drive socket, a ratchet, some brake feeler gauges so you can test the brake pads, and a torque extension, oil filter wrench, some 3/8 drive extensions, screwdrivers, Phillips flathead, hub popper, and a tire inflator. And a service cart so you can roll it back and forth. Pins, tire gauges, all that other good stuff is in there as well. A couple of magnet trays. Up here you have some 1/2-inch torque wrenches at the bottom. You have some 3/8 drive torque wrenches, but 1/2 inch is pretty much what you're going to use if you're a tire tech. There's a noise we haven't heard in a little while. Cheers to those of you that have your beers. Today we are going to do one of the more in-depth beginning Lube Tech discussion videos probably ever made. Let's just be honest. It has been over 14 years since I've been a Lube Tech. I didn't forget all the ins and outs of being a Lube Tech. I have learned the ins and outs of being a Lube Tech from a few different establishments, as far as Sears Auto Center, Ford, Chrysler, even working my way over to the independent shop. There's different expectations now over at Big O. So I've got some experience, so I can lay it down thick for you, and so this is gonna be the thickest, most informative video for you ever, and I hope it helps some of you out. That being said, cheers to those of you that have your beers. Let's get down to it. Okay. Let's dig in. All right. We're also going to be doing the Cup of Noodles tour as we go through this. All right, brass tacks. Let me get some stuff out of the way here. All right. Starting off with what I refer to as the middle finger, or the 6th finger, as some others refer to, the pocket screwdriver. Okay, this one I got for free. I forgot what the heck I was buying at the time. I might have even just been on the tool truck and I needed one in a pinch, and he's like, you know what, I'll just give it to you. So that was pretty cool. But I have used this and have abused this over the years and haven't really replaced it with anything. This has been the be-all, end-all middle finger. It's for those FU moments where you really needed something that's a strong, sturdy material that's not going to easily bend on you, that you could scoop things out with, you can pull seals off with the oil filter canister styles. You can disconnect electrical connectors that are being stubborn. You can disconnect fuel lines and other hoses by trying to get up underneath some stuff. You can undo those little tiny metal clamps. It's just the be-all, end-all, and oftentimes the name brand trucks, they'll give this to you as kind of a rubbing your shoulder effect in hopes that you'll buy something off their truck. So take advantage of it, because these ones actually hold up surprisingly a lot longer than the cheaper ones that you get from your Harbor of Freightses or wherever else you might go to get one. So keep that in mind. Very beneficial. More beneficial than not. The big brother to it. Okay, so I did buy this one. That's why it's red and black. I lost my green and black handle one. I'm not really sure what I did with it, but I had to get the red and black one. I have found more times than not, this is my go-to screwdriver for just about anything and everything. And you can see it's still a fine tip flathead, but it's just helped me out in a pinch every single time I've ever needed it. So for a Lube Tech or an entry-level tech just starting off, I would recommend something like this. Look, yeah, I got it from the Snap-on truck. I don't think Icon sells this. I couldn't tell you anybody else that sells this, but this thing is strong. I've used it to pull seals, all kinds of things. So it also helps you when you're doing a leak down test. You can drop down the cylinder, wait for the cylinder to bring it back up to top dead center, and just sit there and float. So very good item to have. All right, well, let's get down to the brass tacks of the Big O Tire requirement tool list. Not as much as you would expect. They already have everything there that I would need as an entry-level tech with no tools, no experience. And get yourself some paychecks first. You don't have to immediately hustle and bustle to figure out how to get your own service cart. You can do that all in time. You know, it depends. I really don't know how long it would take before they trust you enough to go towards brakes or alignments or anything else like that. But if depending on how long it took, if all you're doing is oil changes, tire rotations, tires, and flat repairs, they have it. So don't even worry about trying to get your own service cart. They provide you with one. whether it's used or new. I know that the dealership started offering the Lube Techs a new toolbox with everything serialized, brand new tools, all mixture from Gear Wrench, mixture from Harbor Freight. I mean, you name it, they kind of mixed and matched everything. They try to put the better quality tools in a cheaper box for the Lube Techs, but that way you guys don't have to actually buy your tools out the get-go, and you have everything you need as an entry-level, level 0 or level 1 tech at Chrysler. They kind of do something similar over at Big O. They already provide you with a service cart that you can roll around in between cars and work on things here and there. And like I said, if you're doing tires and oil changes, and that's pretty much it, I wouldn't really invest too much and bring too much over to the shop just yet. Wait until you start moving up and start getting some better paying jobs that are going to increase your paycheck. Find out how much that difference is. Still see if they're willing to provide those tools necessary to the job so you don't have to. And then slowly but surely maybe build, you know what? Build your dream car at home. That's what I would say. Get you a starter, full drawer, or even just a service cart, like a 4-drawer or 5-drawer service cart. Start building it little by little at home, based on what you can afford at any given point in time. But I'm going to throw out some other little things here that you guys might be curious about as far as like durability and quality and things that you can kind of get away with going on the cheap. We're going to cover a couple of those. So getting down to the icon of the pliers is, right? So they're dikes. I use these for cotter pins, all kinds of other good stuff. You can use these to cut that little rubbery part off when you're doing the flat repairs, cotter pins, all kinds of things. These things will come in handy. They're durable. I believe this is a green for go. You can go with some cheaper ones in the meantime until you can afford to get these. But like I said, if they're already providing them for you, get yourself a pair of these, put them in your plier drawer at home. Okay, some kind of channel lock or slip, tongue and groove plier set, however you want to call it. These will come beneficial from time to time. I got a set of these icons. They've been working out well for me so far. I've been running them for maybe about a year now, so we've liked them. Okay, slip joint pliers. These are great. They do have that snap-on kind of look or appeal to them. They have three different positions, and they're a pretty strong plier. Okay, so these are going to hold up for you as well, and it's going to be something that you're going to need. So there's a 3-piece plier set. I'm going to show you a couple of other pliers that you might want, that you might not find at Harbor Freight just yet, but maybe down the road you will. I thoroughly enjoy these. These are Icon as well. I said they may not be covered, but look, these are the Icon hose pliers. These have worked out really well. Prior to this, I had some Matco ones or Knipix ones, and they worked very well as well. But these have now been a replacement / go-to. Okay, so those are all the Icon ones, I believe. Yep. Okay, this is a pair of Snap-on ones. I do like these. I have used these a lot at the house and in the automotive industry. I do like the fact that I can adjust and I can grip a nut if I wanted to. So sometimes when I'm doing alignments, it's beneficial for me to try to grab that adjuster on the inner tie rod and adjust it on the fly. I don't have to worry about going and finding the right size fitted wrench. I can just grab a hold of it, twist, and adjust my nut, whether I'm tightening or loosening and trying to hold the inner tie rod in place as I'm finishing the alignment. So these are beneficial. These are Snap-on. I do not know if Icon's going to be duplicating that or replicating that. These are old school. Okay, this is one of the last of my tire service, battery service professional tools that I just could not part with. These were made by Mac Tools. These are battery cable cutters. I use these to strip the insulation off the cable if I need to cut it back a little bit and I have some room. If I don't, then I can use this to cut the terminal end off, get a longer cable, clean up the insulation, solder it in place, do what I gotta do. But these things are very, very strong and very, very durable, and I haven't found a better pair. So I like those for that. Maybe Klein might sell them. You might check out Home Depot. The PWZs. This is a PWZ1, alignments as well. Some tie rods do not have a hex adjuster. It's just a piece of pipe. Some of them the adjuster is rounded off. I have found that these PWZs are by far the best when it comes to alignments as well. So if you're doing alignments, these just eat it, right? Just get one, the PWZ one, and run it. So save that. Now I know these are made by Knipex. These are a little pair of tongue and groove kind of a plier, but I love these things, man. They get into some weird tight spots. They bite well. They're small. And I think they're one of my favorite. I think they're called Cobras. Yeah. So, just something to think about. I'm showing you some things, okay? These are not absolute needs. These are little tiny build you up tos, okay? Depending on whether or not you're changing out a transmission line, a coolant hose, etc., it's nice to have a good set of hose pinch-off pliers of some kind. I like these Matco ones that are made out of metal. There may be somebody on Amazon that rebrands these that you can get. Don't buy the plastic ones. The plastic ones do not pinch for crap. You will lose fluid. Get the metal style ones. I have 4 of these. I will not part with them. I love having them, so that way it minimizes the fluid loss, or it cuts it off completely depending on the size of the hose you're trying to attach it to. All right, punch and chisel sets. You can get a Harbor Freight one. This one's a Cobalt one, okay? These have held up probably better than the Snap-on ones that I had, and I paid a lot of money for the Snap-on ones. This center punch especially has held up far more than the Snap-on one. This one about as effectively as a Snap-on. You can see there's a slight curve to it, okay? But a punch and chisel set is always gonna be very beneficial to you. Now, I know they make holders for these. I'm not sure all the companies that do it, but I will tell you a long time ago, back when I was in my community college days, I got one with that Snap-on set. Now, granted, the Snap-on set's gone. I got rid of it, right? And I got the Cobalt one now. But I kept the holder, and this holder has been the bee's knees over the years. So for that, 2 thumbs up. Talked about lighting. Get yourself a solid flashlight. There's a stream light. Got this off of Jeff. I don't see Jeff much anymore, but I'm glad I got the light that I got. If you're doing brakes, a couple of different styles of brake caliper piston retraction tools. One for the single pistons that go down to super skinny, and one for the dual pistons, start off a little bit fatter. They also make a heavier duty one if you're doing big truck work, where it even goes bigger than this. But I will say, for the most part, over the last 14 years, these are really the only 2 that I've actually needed and have been using for the just push-in style, okay? So those are beneficial to have. Told you about that 4-pound hammer. Here's the Irwin. This is the be-all, end-all, man. I love this hammer. I've been using the crap out of it for many, many moons. Okay, so not all tire shops do all fluids, okay? They do fluids, but they don't all do all fluids, okay? They might do a coolant flush, but they're not going to pressurize your system, I don't believe. I haven't seen a coolant pressure tester in there. I did bring mine in. They do not do water pumps, hoses, anything like that. They are a tire, brake, steering, and suspension shop, okay? They might flush the system and then utilize their flush machine to put pressure on it. I don't know how that works just yet. I haven't used it there yet. I don't know what their machine does. They don't do transmission flushes. So, you know, a lot of customers, I guess, had complained that their transmission had slipped, and maybe the transmission slipped prior to the service, so they just did away with that. People are not as trustworthy as they once were. Some people lack the ability to have integrity behind their vehicle as they pull it in, and they want to get sue happy. So a lot of these lube and tire shops are starting to cut out the flushes and leave that to the dealerships and the independent shops. So brake jobs, brake hangers. These things are nice. I know that these are Matco ones, but believe me, you can get some made by Titan for under 10 bucks, I think, over at O'Reilly's. But they are handy. Get at least 2 to 4 of them, not just for the brake caliper. You can see these things are bent any which way from Sunday. I've hooked other things underneath the hood to hold them out of my way, and then just twisted and put the thing where I needed it to. Okay. At some point, you are going to need a test light, okay, because you are going to be changing bulbs. Not all the bulbs are burnt out. You might have to check a fuse. So everyone at some point in time, you are going to need some kind of test light. Again, it's just a beneficial thing. They're not going to require you to have it right out the get-go, but it's something that you should consider to put in your cart as you're building your set. I have thoroughly enjoyed this style of the oil filter removal tool. This one is Blue Point. I saw that Harbor Freight sells one in the Pittsburgh brand. Those are beneficial. So get one of those, add it to your cart. I utilize this more than I do anything else. Everyone says get some pliers. I don't like the pliers. Pliers don't fit into most of these locations. This does. 3/8 drive, fits just about anywhere and everywhere I've ever needed it. Has grip for days. Love this thing. Get one for yourself. A seal puller. Okay, so if you're doing wheel bearings and it's on an older vehicle and you have to take them out and it's protected by a seal, you'll have to have a seal puller. Pop it out with. You can get one of these over at O'Reilly's too. I think Titan makes them, so they're fairly on the inexpensive side. Harbor Freight might sell them. I'm not sure of the quality of that. If the tip breaks off, I don't know, but beneficial to have. So you might consider that if you're doing a lot with wheel bearings and brakes. If you're at an independent shop or a shop that just says put some bulk hose on it, because they will tell you that. These are some Craftsman flush cuts. These things are great just to make sure that the hose is cut perfectly straight. Again, not an absolute necessity at the dealership. They don't even really use bulk hose. Only independent shops and sometimes tire and lube shops. That's all I'm gonna say, okay? Dealership, it's the whole hose for wherever it goes. A couple of little tidbits in here. I've got some, these are just random other pliers that I kind of added in here. These are the JDT Co. dikes. I've utilized these a heck of a lot, especially for cotter pins and other things that we mentioned. So I just so happened to have them and was using side by side to the Icon to see if there was any kind of differences. They both work really, really well, and I like them. If you haven't checked those guys out, check them out, okay? They're on the YouTubes. These are just some Matco electrical crimp and cutter stripper pliers. Carlisle sells these too, but this is I found to be my favorite set out of those kind. Most places don't want you to use a butt connector. They want you to heat shrink and solder. Dealerships, sometimes you got to heat shrink and solder and use their version of a butt connector as well. And you also have some weather strip crimps that you're going to have to use. Just depends on what the dealership wants, the shop wants, etc. So tire and lube shop, sometimes they're just like, let's just put a butt connector on it, get it going. So far, Big O, we don't do electrical repairs, so I don't know what their style is. These were an old pair of Cornwell radiator hose pliers that I thoroughly enjoyed, and I've used them a lot. So I couldn't tell you who makes them. I just like the way they are, and I'll never get rid of these things. So you find some things that you're just never ever willing to part with. All right, getting back down to steering and suspension, these are some adapters I would recommend for that. So I've got this pickle fork that attaches to it, right? Pop the tie rods off, ball joints, things like that. You can do a couple different things with this, but very beneficial to have. It's used if you're not going to be reusing the component. I would not use this if you're going to be reusing it. Let's say you're getting ready to take the spindle off the lower control arm. There's nothing wrong with the lower ball joint or ball joint. I would not use this. Instead, I would use a hammer and try to smack the lower control arm until it popped out, or a pry bar, or a mixture of both before I would use this. Now, if I'm changing it out, it's going to get it. This helps if you need to cut things off, especially with suspension stuff. Very beneficial to have. A punch is very beneficial to have, even when it comes down to like wheel studs, bolts that you need to shoot through rusty suspension components. A chisel's another good thing to have. And last but not least, the hammer bit. You need that for just about everything. If you can only get 2 to start off with, I'd say these 2. If you can get 3, I'd say these 3. If you can get 4, this one, And then of course, round it off with that. I don't think I've utilized this as much as I have these other 4 pieces. All right, if you were gonna get an oil filter plier, this one I have found to be my favorite because it is small in design and it works well in tight spots when it comes to smaller cars. This guy has been extremely beneficial, not just for seal pulling, which is what it was made for, and this is by Matco, but I'm at that age where I don't want to be surfing on my stomach underneath a 2-post lift to try to, or a 1-post lift to try to pull the arms in. So I just use this little hook, I reach underneath, I grab by the little hole, and I pull it out to where I need it, and then I set it up. So this thing has been an old man crutch for sure. Love having that thing. Okay, a center punch works good if you want to use a hammer in that chisel set, but I got this one. It's an automatic center punch. This is from Matco. I think there's some other ones out there that you can get, but the tip I find holds up a lot longer with the Matco one. The tip on the cheaper ones that you can get from like Home Depot and stuff like that, after a couple dozen uses, it's useless. So for that, Matco so far for the win. I did keep some ratchet wrenches. These are my preferred ratchet wrenches in the flex style, okay? So I didn't want to buy the whole set. I found it, I saved a handful of dollars just by getting the pieces that I needed. But I got the 10 millimeter, the 12, the 13, the 14, and the 15. And those are all the ratchet wrenches that I've really needed for the most part. Now I do have the full set of the Icon, Metric, and SAEs back there, which I have used, but these have been my go-to for many years now, and I haven't really found a need for any other sizes in a ratchet wrench. Because if I ever did run into something that I need a different size, I'm usually able to hit it with a cordless or shop air or something like that, or it's too late at that point and I need a big breaker bar and everything else. So for the immediates, these. Now I will say if you can get yourself an 8 millimeter, that's also very beneficial. A flex head would have been cool, but at least a 8 millimeter and a non-flex combination, you're gonna want it. Okay, so those are some go-to wrenches for sure. This is handy if you are at an independent shop and you're trying to separate some hose and you're gonna replace it from bulk hose on the barb, especially at the condenser or for the transmission cooler lines go in. Be all end all. These things are phenomenal. I forget who the heck I got them from, but I'll tell you. Lifesaver. Lifesaver. Okay? All right, so maybe you got your ASC certification 609, you're getting ready to do some AC work. You do need an AC coupler quick disconnect set. I think this is a Lyle one that I got from O'Reilly's or something like that. Might have even got it from Jeff, but these things are worth their weight in gold for disconnecting AC hoses. A hood prop tool to hold the hood up. People don't want to replace the hood struts more times than not. I will say 9 out of 10 people don't care if the hood can stay up because they're never going to be underneath the hood of their car. But you as a mechanic, you do want it to stay up so you can do the work underneath the car. A drill bit set is really not something you can cheap out on. I'm not going to lie. I'm super glad I actually still have these. These are made of a cobalt style of metal. It's a hyper-step drive drill bit. The only drill bit set that I absolutely missed that I do not currently have at the moment, I used to have, was the left-handed snap-on cobalt drill bit set. That thing was a lifesaver when it came to broken hardware, okay? I think they cover anything from quarter inch and up. Last but not least, the drift punch. I've had this thing for so long, I couldn't even tell you. I think I might have bought it from an Advanced Auto Parts or an AutoZone at one point, but this thing has been phenomenal. Love having that thing. All right, so you start getting a little bit more into see where AC work. We started talking about the quick disconnect coupler set. Black light. Get a bright one. Don't get the little pen style. Get you a really decent bright black light or UV light. This one is a Cornwell one. I bet they sell it on Amazon under somebody else's name, but don't get the little tiny pin ones from O'Reilly's. You're not gonna see much of anything. You'll miss a leak, it'll frustrate you. And then of course it comes with some UV glasses. All right, so Getting down to it, do you need compression testers, leak down testers, Noid lights, all these other things, a scan tool? No, the answer is no. In short, you don't need any of that, okay? What do you need? Oh, not really anything. If you're a Lube Tire Tech, you don't really need anything at all. They provide everything. So I would say while you're a Lube Tire Tech, let them provide everything they're going to provide for you to do the job and learn the trade. After that, you can start getting a little bit fancier. You can start picking your pick set, which I have the Snap-on ones. Yes, the Pittsburgh ones I pointed out I used for a handful of years. Over time, yes, they do slip into plastic. Do I think the Icon ones will hold up a little bit better? Yes. If I had to do it all over again, or if I just needed a pick set and I was just starting off, would I still get the ones for $1.99? Yes. Because really, you're not supposed to be putting that much leverage on these things anyways. And if you do have to put a lot of leverage on them, of course the little bar is going to come out of the plastic. Okay? So, for $2 though, come on. Now, if you wanted a different colored set and you wanted to spend the extra money and you're there, do you, boo. Do you. Screwdrivers. Yes, you could start off with that cheap Pittsburgh one like I said, because I sure did. And I ran it for a while. Until I eventually was able to afford something like this. I like a screwdriver set that has the stubby style, because you are going to be underneath the dash from time to time and you are going to need a stubby screwdriver, because even something like this is too long. And if you need a number 2, this is too long, okay? You need the little stubby guy. Yes, you can get the little bit style 90-degree ratchet, but guess what? Sometimes you can't get a 90-degree in there either, and you need something to just hit it straight but have a little bit of room. So these are beneficial. That's why I said the Pittsburgh set was probably my most favorite set out of all the sets they had over there. All right. That's pretty much a wrap, Jack. I don't really know how much more I could possibly discuss with you guys as far as the Lube Tire Tech position goes. What all you might need, like this. This would have been great if we actually do some coolant system work, because if you overfill the bottle, you could suck a little bit out, but they have these things there as well, and I don't need it there. So I brought it home. I'm still trying to figure out what all it is that I need, if anything. There's a couple of things that I found beneficial to me, like having a mirror. But other than that, a pen in your brain. And just know there are some things that you're not going to be able to fix. You can't fix everybody's life problems when they're in there, especially when you don't have everything together yet. You don't have all the knowledge up here yet. You don't have all the tools just yet. And you don't need to be in a rush to get them all. Get the experience first. Use the tools that everybody else is providing you. Guess what? You're going to get experience using other brands of tools. You're going to see what fails and doesn't fail, what holds up and what doesn't hold up over time. And from there, you can make the best educated decision for yourself of which direction you want to go. I get it. I get it. You're excited. You're energetic. So far, you're loving it. You're learning a lot. You can't wait to get to the next step. Then that complacency thing kind of kicks in a little bit because you're just doing tires and oil changes. It seems kind of beat. Try to work on the upsells with the multi-points. Maybe the more and more sales that you get, even if they go to other people, maybe that eventually leads you up to the next level, because they're like, man, well, he sure does seem like, you know, he's interested. He's got a lot of recommendations. Let's start teaching him some of this stuff. So that's how it works, man. And at the dealership, get your training done. That's all I got for this video. Thanks as always for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you next time. Cheers and deuces.